So you followed the pretty lights and tried to walk into the first castle that you saw, and promptly got your face kicked in by Margit, the fell Omen. Surprise? Welcome to Elden Ring. I'm Horizon Shield. Let's make this easy. I am choosing to do this fight at level 17 while using an unupgraded Grave Scythe or Longsword, depending on which clip I show, without a full set of gear. Not on purpose, I just never found any pants. I will show this fight without summons or spirit ashes, without blocking or parrying, and without Margit's Shackle. Margit's Shackle is a unique item that immobilizes the boss for a few seconds during the first phase and can be used twice. Helpful but not necessary by any means because it's only useful in the first phase. So on to the fight itself. What can Margit actually do? Well, with all Elden Ring bosses, his attacks are very fluid. They chain to one another very easily and can combo between nearly any of the other attacks as he wants. So this is why there's very few openings in his attacks, and I'll point out when it is safe for you to attack him. So, first attack up is the Tail Whip. He will only use this attack if the player is behind him and not for frontal attacks, ever. You can tell that he's going to be doing this attack because he brings his tail to the right side and raises his cane up to the left as if he's going to attack and swing it behind him. Dodge by just simply rolling through his tail. This attack may be hard to spot the first time he does it, but if you're behind him, just kind of expect that he'll try this attack and leap away. Moving on to his next attacks, we have the dagger movesets. So first up is the actual dagger throw. He will summon a dagger to his left hand and simply throw it. He will nearly always throw twice, but there are some times where he only throws once during the middle of the combo. To dodge this, roll sideways, or if you're far enough back, you can even walk side to side. Either one works. You can't punish it because he's going to follow up with something very quickly, as it chains nearly everything else in his combo. Next up is the dagger slash. At close range, he will summon a dagger to his hand and swipe at you. He will most likely do 2 slashes, but there are a couple moves where he only does 1. This is by far the biggest pain in the fight, because it can chain from nearly any attack, and you cannot punish it at all. To dodge this attack, just simply walk backwards. There's no reason to stay in his range, as he's going to follow it up with something, so just walk backwards, prepare for the next attack. Last of his dagger attacks is the dagger retreat, who will only do a single dagger slash and draw out the animation instead of chaining it with a second slash. He then leaps directly away from the player. It is unlikely you'll be able to punish this attack because of the distance he jumps. So just prep for the next attack by walking towards him. Now onto the cane attacks. The first attack is a leap attack. He simply leaps at the player. Shocking, I know. He pauses in the air for a moment before doing an area of attack at the point of landing. To dodge this attack, well, simply roll as he starts to descend. If you're close enough, you can actually walk underneath him if you want, but the camera may mess up if you're locked on, and squash you as he flips over you. You've been warned. This attack is one of the easiest to punish in the entire fight. You can get several swings in after he lands. Next is the winding upward slash. He telegraphs the attack by doing a fairly quick windup before lowering his cane to the ground and quickly swinging it upwards. This attack is very fast in the upswing and can easily catch you off guard. He can follow up with a couple different attacks or with simply nothing at all. Regardless of the follow-up, the easiest way to dodge this portion of the attack is by rolling backwards. One of the follow-ups is the overhead slam, and it's telegraphed by him holding his cane in one hand over his head with the cane pointed downward. It's a very obvious telegraph and you get used to it after the first couple times you see it. So it is possible to punish the slam, but you have to be looking for it as he is winding up. After the upward slash, stick close enough to bait out this attack, and when you see it, you can sprint to either one of his sides to be able to get in a couple attacks after he finishes. Be careful if you're close to his left side with the dagger, because he can always follow up and hit you with a dagger slash. The next attack is the full windup. This attack shows Margit holding his cane with both hands above his head with his body sideways to you. This attack is delayed by several seconds, so it is a pretty obvious telegraph. You have 2 choices for this attack. If you aren't close enough to him, you can just simply back away. Do note, if he has to move to try to hit you, he will end up charging and doing a double slash. It's fairly well timed and you can just roll through both of these attacks, you just have to see it coming. However, if you are close enough, this attack is one of the easiest to punish in the entire fight. So, move to his open side, just behind his knee, and you can start swinging. This is one of the most open attacks that he presents, so I highly recommend you try doing it. Next up, we have 2 attacks, both horizontal slashes, one from the right and one from the left. They combo into many of the same moves, so I've thrown them together. The first attack is a full sweep across his body. He turns slightly, pauses, and does a sweeping attack in front of him. The attack is simple to dodge, just roll backwards. The next slash comes from the other side when he raises his cane above his head, pointed up. He will swing in an arc across his body, very similar to the first slash, just from the opposite side. To dodge, roll backwards. Both of these attacks can combo into a ton of different moves. Try to keep your distance until you start to see the follow-up, and then act accordingly. In particular, there are two common follow-ups I'd like to point out. The first is a cane stab. It can combo out of several different attacks, but you'll most commonly see it with the horizontal slashes. After a slash and a single dagger throw, or vice versa, he will raise his cane above his head and point it downward while raising his foot. He'll drop his foot and attack at the same time. Be careful about rolling too soon, as it does track very well. So to dodge, you can either roll to the side as the cane gets down, or you can run around him. This leaves quite a bit of room to get several attacks in, and is actually one of his more vulnerable attacks. The second is a full cane combo. If you see him grabbing his cane with both hands next to the ground, he's going to do another 2 slashes. If you start walking backwards, you should have some distance to see this attack coming. Like I said, it will grab the cane with both hands and do a close slash. He will follow up by charging double slash that you can roll backwards through to get some distance. You cannot punish this attack as he recovers very quickly. To round out his attacks, he also has a caned retreat, where he does a simple swipe and leaps backward in a very similar manner to a dagger retreat. Just roll backwards to dodge if you're in range. Now onto the phase transition. He will always bring the hammer out and do a sweep attack before launching himself into the air for a slam. This attack will always happen along with this dialogue for you to know that the transition into the second phase has occurred. He gets access to 2 new spirit weapons in this part of the fight, a hammer and a sword. They both hurt like hell if you get hit, so I advise dodging. So, starting off with the hammer slam, this is another leap attack that is well telegraphed, just like the leap in the first phase. He's going to jump in the air and then descend on top of you, trying to hit you with the hammer. You can punish it in a very similar manner by rolling through it. You can get in usually a single swing that's safe. But be careful, as this attack actually has less of an opening than the first phase leap. He can follow up nearly any attack in his second phase, and so I recommend just kind of hitting him once and running away. Next up is the hammer sweep. He spawns his hammer on his shoulder and pauses for a second. He swings both his cane and hammer horizontally in front of him. They have individual hitboxes, so it is possible to dodge one and not the other. I recommend rolling directly backwards. However, it is possible to roll to both sides. I don't recommend it though, it's just kind of iffy. Roll straight backwards if you can. The hammer is fairly short, so it's highly unlikely that you'll get hit by it, and so you'll be fine. You can't punish this attack because it's a very quick follow-up with a dagger slash if you're too close. The last of the new hammer attacks is the standing smash. He spawns his hammer on the ground behind him and pauses for a moment before swinging it forward for area damage, a little bit similar to the leap, except he doesn't jump. Its telegraph is very easy to see, and the attack's easy to dodge. Just be warned that it hurts like a son of a bitch if it hits you. You can punish this attack very similar to the hammer leap. However, just be warned that it's a very small opening. I wouldn't recommend sticking around him afterwards. So starting off on the sword attacks, there's honestly really only 2 sword attacks. The first one is the cane stab combo, and the second one is the full sword combo. So starting off with the cane stab combo, it can begin 2 ways. He can either literally just try to stab you in the face with the sword he spawns, or try to cut off your face with the sword he spawns. He will then either stop there, or present a follow-up of a backhand slash with the sword, followed with the cane stab. So these are both very common, but they also end up the same way no matter what. You cannot punish this attack because it has a very quick follow-up of anything in his kit, so just back off and keep your distance. This second attack is the full sword combo, like I mentioned previously. This is a 4-swing combo where he spawns a sword and swings 4 times, alternating between his cane and sword. This attack is very difficult to dodge no matter what you do, and it's a good chance you're going to get hit by it. The easiest way to dodge this attack is to step out of range of the first 2 swings, and then actually roll towards him for the second 2 swings. Don't try to stick around him after attacks in the second phase, and you won't have to do this attack. There are 2 other moves that I know of in the entire fight. An attack that occurs when your stamina bar is broken from blocking, and another that happens after you parry. I'm not good enough at this game to be able to parry, so here's a nice clip of what happens if your guard breaks. There is no recovering from this if it happens because your stamina bar is gone. If the worst happens and we get hit, when can we heal? This fight is actually the most punishing in the game if you're trying to walk backwards and heal, because Margit has ranged attacks. He can actually throw the dagger by the time that you try to get the flask out and start drinking it, so he can hit you nearly every time you try it. So the only safe time to try to heal is when he's doing another attack. Alternatively, if you have about the entire distance of the arena, you can try to heal and walk side to side to dodge the dagger throws, but it's all up to you. If you do end up trying to heal and he gets you with the dagger, it ends up being a net positive, so at least that's alright. I always recommend trying to bait one of his attacks that you know he can't combo from and trying to heal then. Alright, so how do we bring it together to finish the fight? Well, so far I've thrown a ton of information at you guys. Let me break it down real quick and do a quick recap of the attacks you can actually take advantage of. So these attacks are the leap, the overhead slam, the full wind-up, the cane stab, and maybe a single hit or two during the hammer leap and standing smash attacks. And for the most part, that's it. If you attack at any other point in the fight, you run the chance of getting hit in the face by some attack. Thankfully, these attacks happen in both the first and second phase. You just have to learn to be patient. That's one of the big things about Elden Ring. The game will punish you if you try to rush through it, and it rewards you for being patient. While yes, you can trade damage with the boss, it's not recommended because you're going to lose that fight, right? You get the flask, which you're more than welcome to use. It's just can get real iffy when you're down to your last flask and he still has 50% of his health. So be patient. The fight will last longer. It's not on a timer. You don't need to worry about it. So you'll notice for the majority of the fight, I try to stick outside of his attack range to bait out some of his longer attacks. And for most of those attacks, I dodge to his left, because it's just the safer side. If you stick to his other side, his dagger side, you run the chance of him drawing out that dagger and swinging it in your face. You'll also notice I try to keep towards the center of the arena and try to move backwards or forwards to him for the long part of the arena, because it is possible to fall off the edge, so just be wary of it. There was a couple times where I was recording, I just kind of slipped off the edge by accident. So, be warned. If you are caught in any of his attacks, try not to just spam the roll button. His attacks are timed to punish that heavily. So just follow his cadence and just try to dodge through them. Obviously, I know just dodge isn't the best advice, but know that spamming the dodge roll button is going to get you hurt. This fight is also done with me being level 17. It's not ideal, obviously. It's probably under-leveled for the vast majority of people you're comparing to, and with an unupgraded weapon. This fight can be done in like 10 seconds if you really want it to, but I'm trying to show you how it can be done, right? So, you know, take it with a grain of salt, fight the way you want. And as you get down to, you know, the last 15% of his health, just keep being patient. The fight won't end immediately, so you just have to get there. Be warned that about the last 2% of his health bar is actually hidden, like every other boss in the game. And so when you come up for that last attack, they might survive at 1 HP, or it might look that way. But note that that's just a visual thing. All bosses in the game have this hidden chunk of HP behind them. So just be warned that if you go in for that last attack and you're at 1 HP yourself, that it may not actually kill him. So just take your time, be careful. Yeah, and this last bit here is just me dancing around, trying to get these last couple hits in. You'll notice I could probably kill him off right there, but I wasn't sure if he'd survive that last hit and be able to hit me in the face. Just trying to be safe. Well, that pretty much wraps up the fight. If this video was helpful for you, feel free to like and subscribe to see me break down the rest of the bosses in Elden Ring. And if you catch anything that I didn't put in the video, feel free to comment down below. So congrats on beating one of the hardest bosses in Elden Ring. So, if you want to see one of my next videos, feel free to stick around. Until then, happy hunting.